Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? I have the Philadelphia 76ers itch. And if you remember, maybe it was 1 or 2 weeks ago, time is somewhat forming together, so I don't remember exactly which Saturday it was. But I woke up and I was screaming for Phillies baseball because it was, 70 degrees outside. I was picturing a 4:05 start down at Citizens Bank Park. I was fiending for baseball. And this morning I wake up and I'm fiending for Sixers hoops. So why the hell not talk about the Sixers? Now, I don't know if this is going to go where I'm pumped or where I'm disgusted or somewhere in the middle. I don't know where this is going to take me. But I do know that Larry Brown spoke about Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and The Last Dance. And I do know that you left me questions about the Sixers. That is right. You can go to my Twitter, @Broads81, and you can ask me anything. Also, the YouTube community page is available for you to post questions as well. And I will be utilizing them for podcasts and also on 97.3 ESPN. On the Sports Bash with Mike Gill and I from 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. So make sure you utilize that. @Broads81 on Twitter is where you can find me. Let's start with Larry Brown because I thought he had so many interesting things to say. Now, to keep it simple, let's go with this. Larry Brown is no longer in his prime. I think you can hear that in his voice. And you can also hear that with how he talks about the game. I'm not knocking him, okay? He is a very smart basketball man. He had one hell of a great career when he was in the juiciness of his coaching career. No doubt about it. But the way he talks about the game, you can tell that he's old school. And once again, that's just the nature of the beast when you grow up in that era. But it said here, and this podcast that he was on was the Philly Talk podcast, or Sixers Talk podcast, excuse me, from NBC Sports Philadelphia. But in this article, it says, Brown admits that he likes the game of yesteryear better, when players like Shaquille O'Neal and Patrick Ewing were pounding each other in the post. During Brown's peak as a coach, the three-point shot was something for specialists, not every player. So you definitely have to keep that in mind with what he has to say. But I do think he's got interesting points. And I also think, I don't know if I agree with you, Larry. Before we listen to the cuts. This episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They set the standard for clean energy. So whether you are looking to add solar to your home or to your company, Orbit works with you to ensure that you are getting the best deal. Not only do they do solar, but they also can provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check them out online at orbitenergy.us. Okay, so let's hear from Larry. He tied this all together with The Last Dance, and I thought, he sees some things in these two stars that the Sixers have that maybe I don't see. I don't know.
Personal relationship. But when I see Joel, I don't think anybody's better than him. He might get mad at me today, but, he needs to get on the block. And he needs to block every shot and denominate it on the post, because he'll open it up for everybody else. And I don't think there's a better big man in the game than him.
Now he's got to block every shot. Every shot, I tell you. Now, but when it comes to the low block and get on the block, that is an old school mentality. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be on the block more. What I am going to say, though, is he is at the top of the league when it comes to posting up. Now, here's a couple questions. What qualifies as a post-up? Okay, that is a very solid question. Like, what does the NBA use to say, okay, that was a post-up? What if he's extremely far from the basket? What if he's posting up right inside the three-point line? Does that classify as a post-up? Maybe he's not posting up a lot. It's just the fact that nobody else in the league is posting up really at all. But I would still counter that point by saying that's fine, but that just shows you how much more Joel Embiid posts up than anybody else. Maybe nobody else is posting up nearly as much, which doesn't mean Embiid's posting up a lot. It just means he's posting up more than the rest, which isn't a ton. Still, though, when you look at how this league is played, it's different. He does need to get in the post more. But you can't take away what he can do and what he can provide, and shooting threes is a part of that. This league has changed. Joel Embiid is allowed to be shooting threes. Absolutely. Now, 8 of them, 9 of them, no way in hell. But I can live with 4 threes a game. Absolutely. That's what makes him so special. That is why Joel Embiid is so good, is because he has that added to his game. So because he has that in his game, that only helps when he is on the low block or when he is driving to the rim with that speed. I mean, it's crazy, right? But people have to come out and literally defend him. Or they say, take it, Joel, take it. Fine, I will. And he hits him. He's not an insane three-point shooter, but for his position and for everything else that he can do, lethal enough, no doubt. One of the best big men in the game. Yeah, I can see that. I absolutely can see that. I don't know, though, if he has the mentality. And let's listen real quick to what he has to say. I got to skip through the audio cut because he goes on about his time at Kansas and possibly being one of the smartest basketball players to ever come out of Kansas. And I was a little surprised about that because, with all due respect to Joel Embiid, I don't think he is very smart and intelligent when it comes to the game of basketball. And that's not to say he's not intelligent. That's to say he started playing the game so late. That's all. And it's pretty ridiculous to think that we are having a discussion about him being possibly the best big man in the NBA when he started playing basketball at what age? Late teenage years? It's absolutely insane. So it's not a knock on him to say he's not a smart basketball IQ-wise. And I'm not saying he's dumb, but nowhere near this insane intelligent player. He's got a ton to learn, and it's because of just how long he has been playing. And it's been a very short time. And not only just a short time. It's not like, oh yeah, I just started playing basketball and you're learning AAU ball. You're learning NBA basketball. Just like that. Snap of your fingers. All right, here we go. It's a lot to take on in the brain. All right, let's try and find this cut, though.
As high as anybody. You know, my hope for him is that he would think about Kobe and Michael and watch The Last Dance and realize the gift that he has and just spend all his time, you know, working on that craft, because there's nobody could be any more dominant than him.
Very interesting. And I'm not going to deny what he said there. I think he made very valid points. I think Joel Embiid, with that mentality, which is rare, by the way, it's not as if everybody in the NBA has that mentality, or Michael Jordan and Kobe wouldn't be that special. There's a reason why they're that special, because they are so unique. Not everybody has that brain. Nobody has that competitive fire. Not nobody. Not everybody. Very few do. If Joel Embiid did have that, absolutely, he would be a killer. But here's the thing. You can't learn that. You either have it or you do not have it. And I don't see Joel Embiid having it. And that's not to say that Joel Embiid stinks. That's not to say that he can't play and the Sixers should trade him and you can't win a championship unless you have that killer mentality, because I don't think that's true. But I don't believe that Joel Embiid has the killer instinct. There's times where he gets called out by the TNT crew, and what ends up happening? He proves them wrong for a game. He gets pissed off. He gets annoyed. He gets bothered. He'll drop 45 points. He'll drop 42 points. He'll grab 18 rebounds. He'll dominate a game. Okay. But we watched MJ create that in his brain by himself. He would make up stories. He would pretend things happened. He would let it fuel him himself. Michael Jordan wasn't getting criticized by the TNT crew and then coming out the next night. You either have it or you don't. And I don't believe that Joel Embiid does. I watched him cry leaving the court game 7. And you know what? I wasn't upset about that. Some people, I can't believe he was crying. I don't want to see my stars crying off the court. I thought there was nothing wrong with that. If he was going to bounce back the next season and let that eat him alive so he can utilize that brutal pain that he experienced to go out on the floor the following season and destroy every opponent. Feel the burn. Feel the pain. Seriously. Think about it every single night. When you're eating dinner, let it eat you alive. When you're watching NBA TV, think about it. When you're playing video games, running around Philadelphia, playing tennis, have it on your mind all the time. That's fine. I'm okay with my stars being totally destroyed inside. As long as they package that up, bring it to the weight room. Practice that up, bring it to practice. Package that up, go on the floor, and take it out on the opponent. And let's be real. He did not do that this season at all. And I would say that he was underwhelming. Now factor in he can't stay healthy. And that could be a body frame issue. If you're that tall, running that much, and using your body that much, it's not natural. So some of it is just human nature. It sucks. It sucks that happens. But he's not staying in shape. He's out of shape. He's always sick. I mean, there's always these little things. Now, you can question the flu game if you'd like. Was he actually hungover? Did he go out the night before? Was it really the pizza? That's what Michael Jordan's claiming, but I don't know if I actually believe that. But he was playing. You don't see that out of Joel Embiid. And I want to make things clear. The reason why Michael Jordan was so special is because not everybody is wired that way. If everyone was wired that way, Michael Jordan wouldn't be as special. So I don't expect Joel Embiid to be like that, or anybody, really. The closest thing you got was Kobe in terms of the way he thinks. LeBron, different story. Not here for that, though. That's for another day, which would be interesting to get into. So to summarize here, I would like to think that Joel Embiid would go out with that proper mentality to eliminate any opponent on the other side and have the killer instinct like Michael Jordan on The Last Dance. Here's the thing, though. Don't you believe everyone in the NBA, Donovan Mitchell or Devin Booker or Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, you name it, Kyrie Irving, they're all watching that thinking, I can be that. I can have that mentality. The next time we play games, I'm totally going to do that. So every NBA player, Spencer Dinwiddie, maybe even Jared Dudley, every NBA player now, every basketball player now, you could be a pickup guy, a guy who plays at LA Fitness, a guy who plays on the local streets. After watching that documentary, you're going to say, I'm going to be like MJ the next time I play. And then only a few survive at that point, and then only a few survive longevity-wise. I mean, it could fizzle out after one game. But everyone's going to be doing that. I think Joel Embiid could be dominant. He has the body structure and he has the skill set. Without that, MJ, though, once again, that won't be the difference in winning a championship or not, though. And Brett Brown spoke about this. The lessons to learn when it comes to The Last Dance, take it and go with it. You know, really take it. And I'm paraphrasing here, but someone taking it and being the leader, stepping up and filling that role. But he also claimed that it could be done by committee, and I believe that. Now, you saw the Spurs do it by committee, and of course, there's Hall of Fame players in the mix, but you had Tony Parker, Ginobili, Tim Duncan. I mean, they had a core group of guys where everyone kind of stepped up and did it. Now, Hall of Fame type players, one player dominated games. I mean, listen, I get it. But it is very possible to do it by committee as well. You don't necessarily need that alpha. The Warriors didn't need that alpha. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, I would say they did it as a collective group. LeBron James with Miami. Yeah, I mean, LeBron is LeBron, but Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh, You can totally do it. And LeBron gets criticized all the time for not having that killer instinct because he's not the one that thinks, I need to score the last bucket. It's, let me find my teammates. It's, all right, I'll do whatever gets my team the best chance to win the game. So he doesn't have the killer instinct, and he sure has done a fantastic job, I would say. Now let's take a brief stoppage here to hear about Ravens Brew Coffee. This is the best coffee to ever touch my lips. You know me, I am addicted to coffee. And the greatest thing about Ravens Brew is the variety. It has so many different unique blends. And not only that, interesting caffeine levels as well. So if you want an afternoon coffee, a night coffee, it'll be different than the brew that you buy for the morning. Now, I love the jitters. I'm a jitter guy. I freak out. I get all tense. I'm shaking. I love it. I can't picture my morning without the coffee jitters. So I go for the strong caffeine level. But you don't have to do that. So check them out online. I'm not lying to you when I say it is the best coffee to ever touch my lips. The link is in the description. Larry Brown also spoke about Ben Simmons. And I think this is showing where he is when it comes to the sport of basketball. I can't believe people in Philly are worried about Ben Simmons shooting a three-pointer. That kid is as good as any player in the league. He doesn't need to shoot a three-pointer. God might punish me for that. He can guard, he rebounds the ball, he passes the ball as well as anybody. He's completely unselfish. Now, he's not wrong. He can guard. He absolutely can guard. I guarantee you that. I'll bet my mortgage that he can guard. He rebounds, absolutely. He can pass the ball beautifully. I would say that that's his best attribute. I don't know, though, because his defense is so elite. It's 1A, 1B when it comes to those two attributes and his skill set. Not shooting a three, though, I don't agree with that. He is a player in today's era of basketball playing a position where the threes, they're bombing away. The Houston Rockets take over 43s a game. Now, I would say the league average is around 30, and the Sixers do average around that. They're in the mix with everybody else. But with the nature of that position in today's game of basketball, he's going to have to shoot threes. I love Ben. I'm not a hate Ben guy. I'm not a let's trade Ben type of person. I see what he does on the floor. Most people focus on the negatives. They don't focus on the positives. I focus on the positives, and I criticize as well. But I'm not throwing the positives away. There's too many to just throw it in the trash. It would be ridiculous to think, let's just focus on the one thing he can't do. With that being said, focus on the one thing he doesn't do because it matters. So you got to be able to do both. To think he doesn't need to shoot, though, that's where I draw the line. It has to be added to his game. If you watch postseason basketball, the game slows down, half-court sets, he's eliminated. Standing in the dunker spot or standing in the corner, it changes the philosophy for the other team's defense, and it makes it easier for them to succeed. You have to figure it out. It needs to be done. He went on a little bit as well to talk about losing Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick, and I did find this interesting, though, and he talked about Al Horford, and he's a huge fan of Al Horford, but he's a center, and he talked about right here how, he's having a hard time guarding the four. Now, you look at Tobias Harris, and he did a great job at the four position, but he's having a hard time with the threes. Tobias Harris has killed four men because of his athleticism and his ability to put it down on the floor and shoot an outside shot. So talking about his versatility. Now he's playing the three and guarding smaller and quicker guys than him. So that was when Al Horford was in the starting rotation playing the power forward and Tobias was playing the three. And that I can totally get behind. And that's why you saw Brett transition into a different look later in the season where Tobias was your starting four-man. Al Horford was coming off of the bench. And I think that's the best way to utilize this roster when the postseason comes back. If the postseason comes back. If. When. Which one is it? Please be when. Please. I think Larry Brown is a very intelligent basketball mind. He's losing the times a bit because he was so heavy involved during a different era of the game. So I do take what he says with a grain of salt, but I also value it as well. And he sees basketball talent. And I think everybody who knows the game of basketball can see that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid has talent. He hopes that Embiid can learn from this. And I find it interesting that Embiid was the main focus, right? So if Embiid has that mentality, he could be the best big man, the most dominant player. What if Ben Simmons had that mentality, though? What if Ben Simmons was the one with the Michael Jordan mentality? See, I'm the believer in Ben Simmons is the one who's going to bring this team to a championship if they ever are to win one. It's going to be Ben Simmons. The big man, it works. It can take you places, but it's not today's game. And that's not to say get rid of Joel Embiid. But when I look at these two players and I say, okay, if I tell you 28 to 33 is the window of these players where they dominate the league, and that's something I stand behind all the time, who gives you the best chance to do that? And I could see Ben Simmons, a dude who plays 40-plus minutes a night, a guy who is always available. Now, this back injury is bad timing for me to say that, but he is giving you 40-plus minutes a night on both sides of the basketball. I don't count what happened his rookie season because that was part of the process. And, hey, let's get another first-round pick. We'll sit you out. It was a milk injury. And don't get me wrong, it was an actual injury, but they let him relax on it. Hey, don't worry about it. I don't count that. This is the first time he's been actually hurt, and the back injury is no joke. Bad timing for me to say this, but I think you understand my point. When he's active, when he's ready to play, he's giving it for you. And longevity-wise, I see Ben Simmons as a player that can give you a lot of minutes. He's not going to be sick one night. He's not going to be out of shape this night. See, that gets thrown under the bus. The dude literally plays 40 minutes a night, giving it all, and it goes unnoticed. That's just Ben Simmons, but he didn't shoot the shot. What? He's giving you maximum effort on both sides of the floor every single night when he's out there. While Embiid gives you 28, limping off, getting the knee checked, looks out of shape, huffing and puffing. You don't see Ben Simmons huffing and puffing. Not to knock Joel Embiid. I see Ben, though, as the player that will be able to take this team to the next level. He's the one that can take this squad. If I had to choose one, it's Ben Simmons. So I want him with the MJ mentality. I want him to be the one that is thinking, I'm going to destroy every player that comes up against me one-on-one when the season returns. Who knows, though, because apparently he was vomiting from back pain when everything went down in Milwaukee. So we just don't know. Let's transition to a couple questions. A couple questions asked. We will start with Ryan Alexander. Why were the Sixers so inconsistent this year? And I think when you look at it, and Brett alluded to this in his recent press conference, they haven't played a lot together. 19 of the 60-something games. 19. The starting five. The roster continues to turn over. That's not an excuse. That is a reality. See, people don't like to actually see what's going on if it doesn't fit their narrative. If they're a Brett Brown hater, if they don't like Ben Simmons, if they're pissed off with Elton Brand, they don't like to use all of the information. They like to use the information that works best for them. Statistically, when you turn a roster over 10 billion times in the last 2 seasons, you are not going to flow properly. That is common sense. Do I need to go down the list? Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson, Al Horford, losing guys like J.J. Redick, losing Landry Shamet, adding Matisse Thybulle. It's a huge rotation. And then factor in injuries, not being available with the starting five, frustration as well. It's a lot going on. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why they were inconsistent. They weren't able to be on the floor long enough. And that matters. You got to get flow. You got to be able to learn your teammates' game. You got to get comfortable with each other. You have to trust each other. And if one night, well, Josh Richardson's not available for 2 weeks. All right, well, he comes back. Oh, Al Horford's being rested. Oh, Joel Embiid, he's out for a little bit of time. Oh, Ben Simmons in the back injury. Now we got to throw in Shake Milton. Let's factor him in. Here's a guy who kind of took the squad by storm a bit, and I'm very proud of him. But now you're adding Shake Milton into there. It's like bang, 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 bang. Here's a new guy, here's a new guy, here's a new guy. I think that's why they're inconsistent. The crazy thing is, though, they're inconsistent on the road while they're phenomenal at home. So how is that? I don't know. Mental preparation? You saw it in The Last Dance, by the way. Phil Jackson, what's his job? To scheme-wise, right, schematically, prepare the team. When it comes to being dialed in, being ready to play, that's on the players. Dennis Rodman can go party all he wants, but he's giving you everything on the court. It's nothing he did. It's nothing Phil Jackson did. Michael Jordan definitely didn't need Michael Jackson. Phil Jackson to get him fired up. Scottie Pippen, nope. It's all from the self body. It's all from their personal bodies. That's how they get it done. The coach's job, because I'm bringing this up because when I mentioned how come they're not doing this on the road, everyone thinks, well, Brett Brown's not preparing them. The only thing Brett Brown needs to prepare them for is the scheme part of the game. Everything else is on the players. Crazy how that works, isn't it? Let's move to the next one here. Walking miracle. Would you trade Josh Richardson and Al Horford for CJ McCollum and Melo? So essentially, would you do a salary cap dump with Al Horford, get rid of Richardson? I believe you get 1 year of CJ McCollum, and Melo would be a unrestricted free agent. It's a cap dump, if you will, but you get CJ McCollum. I think CJ McCollum would be a fantastic addition to this roster. He'd be a shooting guard that can totally help out. You could even put the ball in his hands to an extent. I think that would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. I would do it. I think the Al Horford move, it didn't work out as planned. I don't think Al Horford stinks, but I just don't know if it works here with the roster. It's something that I would totally look at this offseason if I'm Elton Brand. Let's try and find a way to maybe move on from that contract. Now, I don't know what team is going to do that. Very similar to Alshon Jeffrey and the Eagles. Here's a player where he's got a lot of money. He's coming off of an injury. Who the hell is going to trade for Alshon Jeffrey? It's obvious the Eagles don't really want him. Well, why would any team actually go out and trade for him? Very similar to Al Horford. Not with the injury part of things, but look at the money, look at the production. Who would actually go after him? Maybe there's someone. Maybe that there's a franchise out there that thinks, hey, listen, we need a veteran center. We can play him at the center. They can factor in, well, maybe he's not doing well because he's not playing his natural position. If he goes back to playing his natural position, maybe that would help him. Just something to think about. And then the last question here that I like is, so by the way, my answer to that question is, yes, I would do it. I think I would do it. CJ McCollum would be awesome. Melo, he'd be a UFA. You can maybe bring him back for the bench if you want to. He actually had a tremendous little spark there for the Trailblazers, and it's something I wanted to take a look at when the Sixers had no bench before the trade deadline. Do it. Bring him in. You got nothing to lose. He won't cost a lot. But everyone said, oh, his defense stinks. His defense stinks. Dude, we have so many people who are great at defense. We need scoring. We need people who can score. He can score. I promise you that. Don't make me bet the mortgage again. We will end on this question. And the actual question was from Jason Grensky. And the question was, who out of the four Phillies teams would you want to meet? I want to switch this around a little bit and say share a beer with, because I think that's more entertaining. And if I had to choose a Sixer, I'll keep it Sixers team. So I'm tweaking this a bit just to keep it on the Sixers team. The answer probably would be, I think most people would say Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. Probably more Joel Embiid because his personality is goofy. He's probably funny. I don't know if I can handle that long, though, of Joel Embiid. Imagine if he has too many beers, if he's getting a little crazy, maybe it's a Shirley Temple and he throws a little vodka in there. I don't know. Joel Embiid. He'd be a little goofy. Who knows if he'll even have the beer. Joel, too much. I think Ben has a personality and it just doesn't come off that way due to how he was brought up and always being in the spotlight and always being in the media. I think he has a good personality off the media side of things. So maybe I might go in that direction. He's a video game guy. I'm also a video game guy, and obviously he likes basketball. I love basketball. Mike Scott would be an interesting one. Definitely not Furkan Korkmaz. Matisse Thybulle would be goofy, but I don't think that I can sit through a couple beers with him. Very similar to Joel. Tobias, I don't want to read books. I think I'd go Ben Simmons. I think that there's something there, close in age-ish. I think I'd go Ben Simmons. Yeah, I think I would. Hopefully I'm not missing out an obvious one, but I don't think I would. Josh Richardson would be up there, I think. You know, he's someone that flies under the radar. But I'll go Ben. So thank you so much for listening. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. So one more time, this episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They set the standard for clean energy. So whether you are looking to add solar to your home or to your company, Orbit works with you to ensure you are getting the best deal. That's not all, though. They provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So visit them online at orbitenergy.us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.